That's why. Yeah. All right. All right. All right. So this is just something that more or less like a gift. Since we took the test last time, so we have an easy do now for today. And I also want you guys to know that whatever that you put on PewDeck, whenever you're answering questions on PewDeck, I do look at every single one of them. All right, I look at every single one's work, and if you happen to have really awesome artwork, I also keep a record. I save it. So yeah, maybe next time if you if you draw something really awesome, I would do this again, and hopefully your artwork is gonna get picked. So I know who did the red. She's from second period. So I guess I'll give her a bag of chips or something. Whenever I get to meet her in person. All right, so that's it for the do now. So let's actually work some math problems today. All right. So get your journals, notebook ready, and then get yourself pencil, a pen, something to write with. So today we'll be talking about inverse function. We'll be talking about inverse function. So inverse function is just a function backwards. All right, you put a function backward, and that's all there is. Okay, it's actually one of the easier stuff. All right, so before we talk about inverse function, let's talk about function again. All right, I need you guys to understand what is a function. So we kind of briefly talk about what is a function earlier during this school year. So let me just kind of refresh your memory. So function is one of these mathematical equations, and you will always have an input. You have an input, which is your x, and then you'll have an output. All right, the output is your y. So think of it as the cause and the effect. All right, the cause and the effect. So the x is the reason. It is the reason that causes the consequences, the y. All right. So you always need one input and one output. And that is what a function is, all right? It's a mathematical equation that you have an input and an output. And we can use function to make prediction. That's what function is important, all right? That is why it is important. We can use it to make prediction. So what if we reverse the input and the output? What if we reverse it? We just flip it around. So what's going to happen? All right, so if we reverse it, we are going to call it inverse function. So inverse function, you switch the x and the y, and then you solve for y. All right, you switch the x and the y, and then you solve for y. So it is that simple. All you got to do is when I give you an equations right here, when I give you y equals 4x plus 1, I want you to switch the x and the y. So the y becomes the x becomes the y. And then after that, I want you to isolate and solve for y. So when I say solve for y, what I'm trying to say is I want to make sure y is alone and by itself. I want my answer to be y equals to, and then everything else on the other side, all right? I want y to be just alone and everything else on the other side. That's what I mean by solve for y. So if you want to solve this one right here, that means you have to somehow get rid of the 1. You have to somehow get rid of the 4. You have to put them onto the left. You have just the y by itself. And that is what we're going to do today, all right? All right, so let's take a look at an example. All right, from here on out, I want you guys to write everything down, all right? So starting at this point right here, I want you guys to write everything down. You're going to need to know all about this, all right? So write everything down. So find the inverse of, and then I have a function right here, f of x equals to 4x plus 1. So f of x is just a really fancy way of saying y, okay? It's the same thing as y. So some people like to use f of x, some people like to use y. It's completely up to you. It is the exact same thing, all right? All right, so now we're gonna have to find the inverse of this function that I'm giving you. So let's take a look at the steps, all right? So pay attention, we'll do one step at a time. All right, so the first step is I want you to rewrite f of x as y. So all you are doing is just rewrite it as y, and then that's it. So instead of f of x, I want you to write y. You got to understand they are the exact same thing, all right? They are the exact same thing. So you rewrite f of x as y. That's your first step. All right, and then the second step, this is one of the most important steps, but it is easy. Switch the x and the y, all right? So I want to make the y into an x, and then I want to make the x into a y. So switch the x and the y. So you swap places, the x becomes a y, the y becomes an x. All right, so the first two steps right here, they should be pretty easy, right? I mean, so far we have not done any calculation. We just kind of rewrite the whole thing so that we can work on it later. So the first two steps, it doesn't really require any thinking. You know, you don't really have to think about it. You know, so these are the two easy steps. All right, and then starting at the third steps, that is when you have to start working on this. All right, this is when you have to use your calculation. All right, so remember I was saying that you have to solve for y. You want the final answer to be y equals to, and then everything else right here. That's what you want. So that means everything that is not y, so right here, and then also right here, you're going to have to get rid of it, all right? You have to move the 4 and the 1, all right? So you have to move them to the left. So let's see which one we're going to do first. So remember at the beginning, I told you guys you have to split the equations into the left half and then the right half. So looking at the right half, you have two terms. So terms is the letter with the number. That is that's one thing. This 4 and y, they are one term, all right? Don't look at them as two things. They are one thing. This is one term right here. The 4 and the y, they are together. This is one term. And then the plus 1 is also another term. So the sign is included. So you have two terms right here. And if I want to isolate y, if I want to solve for y, I have to get rid of the plus 1 first, okay? I cannot touch the 4 right now. Right now, they are still good friends. The 4 and the y, right now, they are still good friends. You can't really separate them. You have to get rid of the plus 1 first. So we have to move the plus 1 to the left, and we can do that by doing the opposite, which is minus 1. So I'm going to subtract 1 on both sides. I would do a minus 1 on both sides. I do that because I want to move the 1 to the left. So I will subtract 1 on both sides. And then after that, the plus 1 and the minus 1, they will cancel out, which means they're gone, all right? They're gone. And all you have left is just the 4y, and that's all. That's all you have left. And then on the left side right here, the x and the minus 1, they are not like terms. They're not like terms. So you can't combine them, you can't solve it, you can't do anything. And that's good news because that means you do less work. all you can do is just rewrite the whole thing. All right, write the whole thing down. The x and the -1, keep them both right here. You can't combine them. You can't solve it. So just write them both out. All right, the next step, I'm still trying to get to y, all right? And then now that we got nothing left, we can get rid of the 4 now, all right? Now we are ready to get rid of the 4. So right here, 4y, I have to get rid of the times 4, all right? I got to think about how to get rid of the times 4. So I'm going to do the opposite. I will do the opposite, which means I have to divide it by 4. Divided by 4 on the right, divided by 4 on the left. So there are two ways you can write it. You can either use the division sign like this, or you can just go ahead and write divided by 4 like that. Either way, I would take it, all right? Either way, I would take it. But I prefer writing it like this, okay? I personally prefer writing divided by 4 like this. So the whole thing divided by 4 like that, and then same with the left. So pay attention at the left right here, because when you divide it by 4 on the left side, the whole thing divided by 4, right? So the whole thing divided by 4, not just the x, not just the -1. The whole thing has to divide it by 4. Okay, after that, the times 4 and the divided by 4, they will cancel out. And all you have left is just the y. That's all you have left, okay? It's just the y. And this is exactly what we want. We want the y to be by itself with no friends attached. And then on the left side right here, this is going to be a little bit complicated, all right? So listen up, listen. So the whole thing is being divided by 4. And now I want both of these terms, all right? Both the x and the -1, both of these terms is going to share the divided by 4, all right? Both the x and the -1, they will both divided by 4, which means you're going to have something like this. X divided by 4, and then 1 divided by 4. And then keep the minus sign, all right? Keep the minus sign, put it right here. So let me say it again. The x and the -1, both the x and the -1, they both have to divide it by 4, okay? Not just the x, not just the -1. They both have to divide it by 4. So x divided by 4, you put it right here. And then the -1, I want you to divide the 1 by 4 and then keep the negative right here. Don't forget about the negative. All right, we are done with the hard part, all right? Those are the challenging part. Those are the difficult part. Now, here comes the easy part. Rewrite y into, we have a special symbol for the word inverse, all right? So the word inverse obviously is in English. We have a special way of saying that in mathematics, okay? We are going to use the mathematical symbol, and this symbol looks like this. The F, the letter F right here, with the tiny -1 on the upper right-hand corner. So the letter F right here, with the tiny -1 on the upper right corner. So I want you to understand this is a symbol, all right? This is a symbol. It's not a number. It's not a variable. It is a symbol. So just like, any star or like a heart or like, smiley face, it is a symbol, not a letter. So don't try to figure out, okay, what does the f means? What does the -1 means? Why is it -1? Why is it, why is it on the upper right instead of an exponent? So don't try to figure it out because this is a symbol, not a number. And we use this symbol to represent the word inverse. So I will rewrite the y into inverse. So instead of the y, get rid of it. And I'm going to put inverse. All right, so a lot of students tries to, they kind of overthink about, okay, what is the the f with the tiny -1, why do we use f, why don't we use x, why don't we use the letter v or whatever. Don't try to think about it. You got to understand this is the symbol. It is the same as saying the word inverse. All right, this is pretty much the word inverse. But let's just say that there are some aliens from Mars and they don't read English, they don't read English, but they can read math. They can read the math. Math is a universal language. So this would be the way that they say the word inverse. You will use the tiny letter f and then put a -1 on the upper right. And then the last step, this is also super easy, put the inverse on the left. So put the inverse on the left, and then everything right here, put it on the right. All right, so this is the correct answer, but we can still go one step further, all right? We can clean it up, and then make it look a little bit more organized, make it look more neat. And this is what I'm going to do, all right? This is what I'm going to do. So the x right here in front of the x, if there's no number, I'm going to put a 1. And then I'm going to drag the x, put it outside right here. I'm going to pull out the x and put it on the side. So that means you are going to be looking at something like this. The inverse equals to 1/4 times x minus 1/4. So all I did is put the 1 in the front because when there's no number, that number, and then I drag the x out and then put it on the side, all right? So I did not really change anything. You still have the exact same equation, but I just make it look a little more neat and more organized, all right? So this would be your final answer right here. So the inverse function equals to 1/4 times x minus 1/4. All right, I want you guys to write it down on your notebook. Make sure you write down everything on your notebook. So it looks like a lot of steps, but it actually is not a lot of steps because the first 2 steps is super easy. You don't really have to think about it. The first 2 steps, you can finish it without even thinking. And then same with the last 2 steps. The last 2 steps, it doesn't have any calculation whatsoever. So the only difficult part is the steps right here in the middle. All right. So those are the part that's that's a little bit challenging. All right, so let's do another example. We'll do another example. Okay, so we have to find the inverse of f of x equals 1 plus 1/5 times x. All right, so let's look at the steps. So for now, I'm going to give you the steps.
Mr. Khan, we copying this too?
Yes, copy down this example, yes. So for now, I'm going to give you these steps, but after you guys are good at it, I'm not going to give you these steps on the right, okay? I want you guys to just figure out by just looking at this, all right? But for now, I'll give you the steps and let's just follow along. All right, I have to find the inverse of this thing right here. So let's start with the first step. The first step and the second steps, the first two, they are super easy. Rewrite f of x as y. Rewrite f of x as y. So all I did is just replace the f of x into y. And then switch the x and the y. So the y becomes an x, and then the x becomes a y. All right, there goes the easy part, all right? So now we're going to have to actually do some calculation right here. So like I say, you have to look at them as two terms. You have a term right here, and then you have another term right here. So your goal is to have y by itself and then everything else on the side, all right, always, which means you have to get rid of the 1 right here. You also have to get rid of the positive 1/5. So we will work on the 1 right here first. We have to get rid of the 1 first, because right now 1/5 and y, they are still good friends, all right? They are still good buddies. You can't separate them, not right now. You have to get rid of this extra guy first before we can touch this, all right? You have to get rid of this extra 1 first before we can touch the 1/5. So I'm going to move it to the left by doing the opposite. So the opposite of positive 1 is going to be a -1. So you will subtract 1 on both sides. And then after that, the positive 1 and the -1, they will cancel out. You have just the 1/5 times y, okay? That's all you have left, just the 1/5 times y. And then on the left right here, the x and the -1, they are not like terms. You can't solve it. You can't combine it. So just rewrite the whole thing like this. There is nothing you can do because they are not like terms. So that's good because now you don't have to do anything. Just write the whole thing out, the x and the -1. All right, now we're going to have to figure out how to get rid of the times 1/2, all right? So we have to somehow figure out how to get rid of the times 1/2. So the opposite of times 1/2 is times the denominator and only the denominator, all right? So you have to times just the denominator. That
I have a
means,
question.
yes.
Okay, so in the first example, we divided. Now we're multiplying.
Yes, it's different because this number is now different. Right here is a fraction. So now we have to do something else, okay? You have to adjust your strategy.
So when it's a fraction, we multiply. When it's
Correct.
a
Yes.
regular number, we divide.
Yes, right here, this is a fraction. So 1/5 is the same as divided by 5, right? So when you have something times 1/5, so let's just say you have $100. 1/5 of that is 20, right? Isn't that the same as 100 divided by 5? So times 1/5 is the same as divided by 5. So what is the opposite? What is the opposite of divided by 5? You have to times 5 on both sides. You have to times 5 on both sides. So that means I multiply by 5 on both sides. So this is what I'm going to do. The whole thing times 5. And then on the left, put a parenthesis around the whole thing, and then times 5. And you have to put a parenthesis, because if you don't, chances are you'll forget that both of these are being multiplied by 5, okay? So make sure the whole thing is multiplying by 5.
Why do you multiply by 5 again?
All right, because I want to get rid of the 1/5, all right? I want to get rid of the 1/5 right here. So the 1/5 right here, now it's time to split it apart, all right? Now they 1/5 and the y, they are no longer good friends. Now I'm ready to move this guy to the left. So I have to do the opposite. I have to do the opposite of times 1/5. The opposite of times 1/5 is you're going to have to times just the denominator right here. All right, just the denominator. So I have to times 5 on the right and then times 5 on the left. Okay, so this number will always be the denominator, always.
Okay, got it.
All right, thank you for asking. All right, times 5 on the right, times 5 on the left, and then make sure the whole thing times 5, all right, the whole thing. And then same with the left, okay, the whole thing times the 5. So that's why I put a parenthesis. All right, we are almost done. We are very close. So times 5 and times 1/5, they will cancel out. They will cancel out, and now you have just the y, all right? You have just the y. And that is what we want. We always want the y to be alone and by itself. That is exactly what we want.
And then on the other side, it's going to be x over 5.
Okay, the other side right here is tricky, all right? It's tricky. Watch. So right here on the left, the whole thing needs to times 5. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to distribute the 5 to the x and also to the -1. So what I mean by distribute, I have to make sure 5 is multiplying by x. So 5x, 5 times x is 5x. And then 5 times -1. So 5 times -1 is -5. So that is what I mean by distribution. So you have to make sure both terms has to share the times 5, all right? Both terms right here has to share the times 5. So most people make a mistake right here because they will forget about the -1. Imagine if you forget about the parenthesis. Let's just say you forget about the parenthesis like this. Chances are they will do 5x and then they will have a -1. They forget that 5 also have to multiply to the -1 as well, okay? So that is why we had a parenthesis earlier. It just kind of gives you a heads up that both terms has to be multiplied by 5, okay? Both the x and the -1. So they have to share the times 5, and that will get you 5x minus 5. All right, so we are 99% done. So let's finish the rest. The rest is easy. So we write y into the inverse. So that means get rid of the y. And then I'm going to use the symbol. Remember, this is a symbol, all right? It doesn't really mean anything. The inverse. and then I want you to swap them. So just swap places, put the inverse on the left. Put the inverse on the left, and then 5x minus 5 on the right. And that is your final answer. So that is your final answer. The inverse equals to 5x minus 5. So like I say, it looks like it's a lot of steps, but the first 2 steps is easy. The last 2 steps is easy. The actual calculation is just in the middle, and that's it, all right? It's just the middle part. All right, I'll give you guys half a minute. Let's write it down on your notebook, and then let's try a problem. I want to check your understanding.
Why do we do f-1?
Well, that is a really good question. I mean, let's just say, some old guys, back in the days, they have nothing to do in their life, so they're like, oh, you know what? Let's just, just the f and the -1. To be honest, I have no idea.
Are we able to use any other variables?
No, not really. But let's just say if someday you you end up being a super smart scientist, trying to figure out some new equations for the universe, then you can go ahead and create your own sign.
Okay.
All right. So let's move on. Let's try this problem. All right. So like I say, for now, I will give you the steps. But later on, once you guys are good at it, I'm not going to give you the steps. But the steps are easy, right? All right, so find the inverse of g of x equals to 1/2 times x minus 5. So I'll give you, give you some hint, all right? The first 2 steps is easy. After that, that means you have to, these 2 terms right here, you got to figure out how to do this, all right? You have to add some number, and then after that, you have to multiply some number. So look at the 2 examples that we did. See if you guys can figure it out. Okay, just give it a try. Try it. See if you guys can figure it out. So go to Peer Deck. Go to Peer Deck and then work on this problem right here in front of you. And if you're done, then just go ahead and draw a smiley face or whatever symbols or anything. All right. Yeah, this one it's going to take a little while, so let's try to finish it in 5 minutes. All right, I think the ghost face, you got it. Perfect. Hey, it seems like you get it really fast. All right, so if you already finished, go ahead and go to the hub. Go to the hub and then just get your homework, and you may as well start working on your homework. So is under the week of October 5th. So under the week of October 5th, there is the inverse function homework. You can pull it out and then work on it. Okay, so the first two steps is pretty doable, right? And then after that, you have to add one number on both sides. Think about it. All right, you add 5 on both sides. So I see most of you guys figure out that part. Yes, you have to add 5. Okay, so don't touch the 1/2. Okay, it's too soon. 1/2 and the y is still best friend. You can't really break them apart. You have to get rid of the -5 by doing the opposite. So you have to add 5 on both sides. So everyone is on the right track. That's pretty good. Pretty good. All right, money symbol, I think you got it. The money symbol, I think you got it. Well done, guys. Well done. Mr. is tripping. It is not letting me write. Oh, really? Do you think you can refresh the page? All right, so far everyone is on the right track. All right, how would you get rid of the 1/2? That is the part that's the tough part, right? How are you going to get rid of the times 1/2? I think the pink heart, you're good. The pink heart, you're good. So you can get rid of the 1/2 by times 2. Yes, I see some of you guys got it. Multiply by 2 on both sides. Make sure you use an parenthesis, all right? Make sure you use parenthesis on the left.
Mister, I'm confused. Can you help me with mine?
Who is this? Kaylin?
Mhm.
All right, let me see what you have. Okay, so you plus 5 on the left. And okay, now can you add 5 on the right as well? Add 5 on the right. So whatever we do to one side, you have to do it on to the other side as well, all right? Okay, good, good, good. All right. So now that you add 5 on both sides, what cancel out on the right? What cancel out on the right? Okay, good, 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 good. All right, so now all you have left is just the 1/2 times y. All right, the 1/2 times y, that's everything that you have left. Okay, 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 good, good, good. All right, on the left, the x and the plus 5, they are not like terms. They're not like terms. So there is nothing you can do about it. So the only thing that you can do is write them both out, okay? Write both of them out. So you have x plus 5 on the left. And that's all you have, okay? There's nothing you can do. And that's good, right? That means you don't have to do anything. All right, all right, all right, cool. All right, we are still trying to get to y. We're still trying to get to y. So that means now we can work on the 1/2. So what is the opposite of times 1/2? So we did an example earlier that's similar to this. How would you undo the times 1/2? You have to multiply by one number. Yes, yes, I see you circle the 2. Yes, you have to multiply by 2 on both sides, all right? Both the left and the right. All right, good, good. There you go, perfect. All right, now let's keep working on the right, okay? So on the right side, the times 2 and the times 1/2, they will cancel out. Once they are canceled out, the only thing that's left is just the y. The only thing that's left is just the y because the times 2 and the times 1/2, they will cancel out. All right, now on the left side, the 2 has to be shared. Remember, both the x and the positive 5 will get a piece of the times 2, all right? You have to share it. So you have to distribute the 2 to both the x and the 5. So what is 2 times x? That's easy, right? 2x. 2x plus, and then, hey, well, not so fast. What is 2 times 5? You have to share. Remember, they both have 2 times 2, and not just the x. The 5 also needs 2 times 2. The 5 also needs 2 times 2. Okay, so make sure you get that part. Yeah, that is the part that gets everybody. So you have to distribute it too. So both the x and the 5 needs 2 times 2. So what is 5 times 2? All right, good, good. All right, you are almost there. You are 99% done. Can you finish the last 2 steps? Rewrite the y as the inverse and then put it on the left, and then you're done. All right, I'll give you guys 1 more minute. Let's wrap it up. Missed that. Finish and finish. Okay, okay, Regina. If you have no more questions, go ahead. All right, you too, Regina. I'll see you next week. Submit your homework, okay? All right, let me go over this problem. So a lot of you guys, either got it or you guys are, really, really far. You can, I mean, you've almost figured out everything, and that's good. I think you guys actually did the best out of all of my classes. But then there are 4 of you guys who are AFK. All right, so let's work on this problem right here. All right, so since most of you guys figure out, probably like almost everything, so let's just go through it really fast. Rewrite g of x as y. Switch the x and the y. All right, these two requires no thinking. All right. Now the third steps. The third step, I have to get rid of the -5. So the opposite of -5 is +5 on both sides. +5 on both sides. And then -5 and +5 will cancel out. You have just a 1/2 times y. And then on the left, you have x plus 5. All right, you're very welcome, Kaylin. And then multiply by 2 on both sides, all right? So you get the 2 from right here. You get the 2 from right here. You have to do the opposite of times 1/2, which is times 2. So you will times 2 on the right and then times 2 on the left. Yeah, I should have get rid of this, all right? And then after that, times 2 and 1/2, they'll cancel out. You will have just the y. And then on the left, 2 has to be distributed to the x and the 5, okay? Both of these got a piece. So 2x plus 10. And then the last 2 steps is easy. Rewrite y into inverse. So you will get rid of the y, get rid of it, and then you will put inverse. And then you will put the inverse on the left, put the 2x plus 10 on the right. All right, so most of you guys did really good. That's always a good thing to know. All right, but I want you guys to understand that the steps on the right here, all these steps, I'm not going to give it to you all the time. All right, I'm only giving this to you because this is the first time you guys are doing this. Once you guys are getting good at that, I want you guys to be able to do this without looking at these. All right, imagine there's none of this. You will just look at this and then you will tell me the inverse. All right, so let's do one more problem, and then you guys are good to go. So the last problem right here, do the exact same thing as you did earlier. All right, do the exact same thing. So let's give it a try. Go to Peer Deck and then work on this, all right? Can you leave to do the homework? Can you work on this problem? Do you know how to do this? You haven't done anything. I mean, I want you to try this problem first. I want to be able to see if you can solve this. All right, work on your homework then. Work on your homework. All right, money symbol. Come on, I want you to work it out. All right, so I know the steps are almost correct. There is one tiny mistake. So work it out. All right, this one is tricky because of the divided by -6. All right, that part is tricky. Make sure you are dividing by -6, not just a 6. And then on the left, when you are dividing by -6, remember both terms, all right, both the x and the plus 12, both of them has to be divided by -6. Let me see what you have, Justin. Right, the steps are correct, Justin. But can you do you think you can just write the whole thing out? It's or at least write the final answer out. If you're doing it on the side with on your journals notebook, can you write the answer out? I want to see what you get. All right, so who was asking? Yes, what's up?
My it just reloaded for no reason and messed up everything I wrote.
Oh, really? Hey,
just give me a second to try to retype all of that.
All right. All right, this one is a little tricky, guys. I think you guys got the general idea, like you guys got the idea, but to pinpoint the exact answer, I don't think anyone has got it so far. All right, so you put a heart, you say the answer is x minus 2. All right, you're close, all right? Hey, purple heart, you're close. So when you are divided by -6 on both sides, right? On the left, both the x and the 12, they need to be divided by -6, okay? Both of them. Okay, keep going. All right, that's it. All right, that's it. You got it. So that's the correct answer. I'll take it, but can you make it look a little better? Remember, I was telling you put a 1 in front of the x and then drag the x out. So that is just one extra steps to make it absolutely perfect, make it professional. Put a 1 in front of the x and then drag the x out. But this answer right here, I'll still take it. All right, let's finish it. Let's wrap it up and we'll call it a day. Yeah, a lot of you guys, you guys are Good. You guys are good. All right. All right. When you drag the x out, the x, it has to be in the middle, all right? Not the top, not the bottom. Put it on the side. If you put it at the bottom, that is you're looking at something else. So maybe some other day I will explain, how to properly set up a fraction, because it seems like whenever there's a fraction with a variable, people just tends to, kind of messed up. All right. So let me go over this. All right. So I think 2 or 3 of you guys got it, and then the rest of you work, good enough. All right. Good enough. All right, let's do this. All right, so everyone just look at my my screen, and I will show you guys how to do this. So this one is actually slightly harder than the previous one. So that's why you guys, some of you guys are struggling. All right, so the first 2 steps is super easy. Rewrite g of x as y, and then switch the x and the y. All right, so that part shouldn't be any problem. All right, and then the next step right here, that is the part that we have to start actually doing math. So you have to add 12 on both sides. Add 12 on both sides. So that means they will cancel out. You'll have just the negative 6y. And then on the left, you have x plus 12. So I see most of you guys get to this step, all right? Most of you guys get to this. And then the next step, you have to divide it by negative 6 right here. So there are 2 ways you can do it. You can either write the division symbol and then negative 6 like that, or, which is what I prefer, I would just use a line like that. So divided by negative 6, divided by negative 6. So either way is just fine, all right? So divided by negative 6 on both sides. And then after that, the times negative 6 and
you divide the whole x plus 12.
Yes, the x plus 12, the whole thing needs to be divided by negative 6. Yes, the whole thing needs to be divided by x plus 12. Yes. Yep. So yeah, that was a good question. Yes. And then after that, you'll have just the y right here, because the times negative 6 and divided by negative 6, they cancel out. All right, and then this is the problem. Most of you guys start to get messed up right here. So right here, that is the problem. All right, so remember I was telling you guys, both terms needs to share the divided by negative 6, all right? Both terms needs to share the divided by negative 6. So which means I'm going to have x divided by negative 6. And then right here, the 12 divided by negative 6, I'm going to put it right here. And I have to keep the plus sign right here. Keep the plus sign right here. And then right here you have 12 and then over negative 6. All right, so now we have to clean it up a little bit. So this is still not clean enough. We have to make sure that it gets even better than this. So this is what I'm going to do. The positive and the negative right here, when you combine them, negative always wins, okay? Negative always wins. When you have a positive and a negative, negative will always win. So there's no questions. It's like if you add a negative number, negative number, so let's just say you have something like, I don't know, like 5 plus negative 2, something like that. The negative will always win, and you will get a 5 minus 2, which is 3, okay? So when you are looking at positive and negative, it will always turn into just a negative. So this is the same concept right here. You have a plus and then you have a negative, which will turn into just a minus. And then the 12 divided by 6, you can solve it. You will get a 2. And then the last part right here, in front of the x, if there's no number, I will put a 1. In front of the x, if there's no number, I'll put a 1. And then after that, I'm going to do what I did earlier. I'm going to drag the x out, the x right here, drag it out, put it on the side, all right? Put it on the side. Don't put it at the bottom, put it on the side. And then you are going to have your answer that looks something like this. -1/6, and then the x right here on the side. So don't put it at the bottom, all right? Don't put it at the bottom, put it on the side. All right, so that's pretty much all the calculation that we need. And then the next 2 steps, the last 2 steps, those are super easy. Rewrite y into inverse, and then put the inverse on the left. So that means your final answer is inverse equals to -1/6, x minus 2. That is your final answer. All right, like I say, I know it looks like a lot of steps, but actually it's not a lot of steps. The first 2 is easy, the last 2 is easy. The only calculation is just these 2, all right? All right, so I want you guys to do your homework at home. I'll show you where you can get the homework. So once you get into the hub, go to Algebra 2. Go to courses, Algebra 2, and then after that, you will go to plans, go to plans, and then go to the week of October 5th. And then right here, inverse function. So click it. And then click this, and then go ahead and download it, all right? Download the homework. And then I think there are 3 problems. I even put an example problem at the homework, so you can just, look at the example, see if you can, help, get some help from the example problem. All right, so that's it for today. I think you guys did wonderful today. I think you guys are, everyone is, at least trying, and you guys are learning something. And if you still don't get it, that's fine, because it's the first time that you guys are doing, inverse function. We'll talk more about this next class, all right? So that's it for today. And I will see you guys next week, because this Friday is A-Day, I think. So make sure you turn in your homework, get it done as soon as possible so you don't have to worry about it, all right? So I will see you guys next week. You guys are dismissed. All right, have a good day, Sarah. All right, see you later, Jose. Have a good one.